Hi there. Welcome to the Sweet Spot, memorabilia, autographs, and more on the Spanglish World and Sports World networks on Zingo TV, channel 250. I'm your host there, Rob Daniels. I don't know if you quickly saw that. I had my phone up because I was so enthused by the intro there. We have this brand new intro on the network here, and I wanted to take a quick picture of it, but hopefully next time I'll do that. Maybe I'll just do this, fun little thing now that we're here live. But yeah, I'm all enthused with this cool new intro. Thanks to our producer back at the studio, Eduardo and Rebecca, who have hooked up the real cool new intro, and I'm grateful for that. So again, the Sweet Spot, memorabilia, autographs, and more on the Spanglish World and Sports World networks on Zingo TV, channel 250. I'm your host, Rob Daniels. Thank you so much for being here on this Tuesday. May the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with you. For all the Star Wars fans out there, I'll be completely honest, I was never a Star Wars fan growing up. I've seen a couple of the movies before, but I was never like that diehard Star Wars fan. And so I never really grew up with it. Like I saw a couple of them and I was like, yeah, they're good. But to all the people that really celebrate this day, the Star Wars Day, I really hope it's a great day for you and that it's awesome. So again, may the 4th be with you. Coming up on this very program here today, the Sweet Spot, memorabilia, autographs, and more. We're going to be speaking with I'll be speaking with the owner of Empire Sports Marketing and Management. So he's located in New Jersey, and I look forward to speaking with him on the program beginning at 12:15 today. And I got to get a message back from our producer. His name one more time off the top of my head. I think it's Hector, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Hector Castro going to be on the show today. So Hector Castro, again, is the owner of Empire Sports Marketing and Management, located in New Jersey. And, I really want to pick his brain to find out what's going on in terms of, actually getting athletes into the public again, because we're at that point now, especially in the United States. I mean, more so, not really at that point here in Canada quite yet. But in the United States, I mean, you see these messages. The governor in Florida, they're totally open there. I think they're wearing masks if you want to wear a mask, but you don't have to. A lot more vaccines are out south of the border, so that could be the reason why, partially the reason why things are opening up a lot quicker than they are here in Canada. So we'll get to him to find out if athletes are now indeed taking the chance out of the border to make public appearances, to sign some autographs for the public, maybe in a safe manner, or show up to shows, like to autograph signings and such, and shows at banquet halls in the United States. So be interested to talk to him about that and more coming up on the show later today, again, 12:15. First, I wanted to bring you some sports news, some autographs and memorabilia news that you should be aware of. I'm pretty excited about, actually, for you if you're a tennis fan. For me, I'm not so much a tennis fan, but this is very neat. Receiving the news that Roger Federer, there's an auction going on with a lot of his items that include a Grand Slam gear. Okay, so if you're interested in tennis, tennis items that are signed by Roger Federer himself, then you're going to want to definitely be listening out for this. What he's done is that he's dug into his closet for several match-worn memorabilia that will soon be up for grabs. Okay, so we're talking rackets, we're talking shoes, bags, caps, wristbands, and other items that will go on block through Christie's, which Christie's with proceeds going to the Roger Federer Foundation. Now, Christie's is like it's kind of like a sports memorabilia type of place out in London, in the United Kingdom. And so most of the items set to be sold during a live auction is happening in June. Okay, so next month, and in June date to those 20 major tournament wins. Okay, so he's added his autograph to many of the items, and what I can tell you is that the entire collection is expected to bring a minimum of $1.5 million. The 20 lot main event will be held in a live format at Christie's London headquarters in the United Kingdom, June the 23rd. And this is where it could benefit you, because we can't be in the United Kingdom right now. If you're living in Canada, we can't be in the United Kingdom at this moment. Or at least even from, if I had to guess, June 23rd, we still, you could go there, but it's frowned upon at this very moment, right? You have to do hotel quarantine and all that. So, well, like you can't go, you could go in person, but the more convenient way for Canadians to be involved in this is that, well, the same day, that June 23rd, when they have the live format going on at Christie's London headquarters, the same day a second online sale will be open. Okay, so this is where you can tap into some Roger items, the Roger Federer items yourself if you're interested. The same day, a second online sale will open with 300 additional lots. Okay, so from a racket, and this is what Christie, the store in the United Kingdom, had to say. They said in a statement announcing the two sales, and I quote here: "From a racket used in a stabled tussle with Rafael Nadal at Wimbledon in 2007, to the clay-covered shoes from his win at Roland Garros in 2009, these items provide a window into some of the sport's most iconic moments." Okay, so Wimbledon in 2005, a sweater and racket from his victory over Andy Murray in the 2012 Wimbledon final. Also his shoes. That's kind of neat, right? His shoes, complete with the famous clay still stuck to the bottoms, and racket from the 2009 French Open, and his match-worn shorts and shoes, shirt, and racket from the epic 2007 Wimbledon final against Rafael Nadal. So that is really neat. If you are a tennis collector, this is what you're going to be looking out for. Again, put that in your calendar, June the 23rd, if you're interested in that. If you're a big Roger Federer fan, you're a collector of tennis autographs and memorabilia, wow, what a day that is going to be. I want to read you what Roger Federer said in his statement in regards to this. Or actually, I don't think, no, Roger Federer did not say this, but this is a quote. And I'll read it to you. And I quote: "Every piece in these auctions represents a moment in my tennis career and enables me to share a part of my personal archive with M. Federer stated." Okay. This is from Roger Federer. I'm a little confused, okay, but let me read it to you. I can't be 100% certain. Don't quote me on this one. I should have done my prep further. Nobody's perfect. I'm going to say I should have known this before the show, before spilling the beans to you in terms of this chunk of the information that I found out. But I'm pretty sure Roger Federer said this, okay? And I quote: "Every piece in these auctions represents a moment in my tennis career and enables me to share a part of my personal archive with M. Federer stated. More importantly, the proceeds will support the Roger Federer Foundation to help us continue to deliver educational resources to children in Africa and Switzerland." So I think Roger Federer said that. Don't quote me on it in saying that he said that, but I'm, from the sounds of it, it kind of sounds like it. Again, I don't want to get in trouble with that. I'm not saying for sure he said that, but from my own understanding, and what the main thing to know about it is that the proceeds will support the Roger Federer Foundation to help them continue to deliver educational resources to children in Africa and Switzerland, which is a very good thing. That's a very, very, very good thing. So if you're a Roger Federer fan, I mean, again, June the 23rd, put that in your calendar. You got lots to add to your man cave, your woman cave. Maybe you and your partner collect together, and it's just going to go into your collectibles area. Hopefully not, collect dust, but out on display. This is huge. This is Roger Federer we're talking about. So June the 23rd. You'll want to put that in your calendar. This is the Sweet Spot, memorabilia, autographs, and more. We are on the Spanglish World and Sports World networks on Zingo TV, channel 250. Thanks so much for joining me. My name is Rob Daniels. And, I wanted to speak quickly on a little bit of a Blue Jays update for you. Well, they came off of a nice little sweep at home in Dunedin. Dunedin being home for the next little while. Not too sure what's going to happen moving forward, if they're going to stay there the remainder of the season. I'm hearing rumblings that Buffalo will be next when it becomes too hot in Florida, but I can't be certain on that either. I'll keep you posted on this program as to where home turf will be for the Blue Jays moving forward. But right now, at this present moment, Dunedin is the home ballpark for our Toronto Blue Jays, and they did very well over the weekend, taking that weekend series against a very good Atlanta Braves ball club. So we got all 3 games there. And then last night they move into Oakland. And I'll become entirely honest with you. I meant to watch part of the game last night because I don't know about you, but I get really stoked when I see a 9:40 p.m. start on the East Coast, because that gives me a little more extra time to watch these guys because – well, you know what happens. Things get a little busy, 6:30, 7 o'clock, usually when games normally start on the East Coast. And you eat dinner and you clean up, and then maybe you go for a walk. That's what we do now when we're in lockdown. You go for a walk off dinner a little bit. Excuse me. Wow, never sneezed on the air before. Well, at least in a long time. I can't recall. Okay, So I was fascinated. I'm like, you know what? 9:40 p.m. and the start in Oakland. The Blue Jays are in Northern California to take on the A's last night, 9:40 p.m. It was actually Marcus Semion's first. First time playing the Oakland A's against them in about seven seasons. I think it is 7 seasons. Because he was an Oakland A for seven years, and then became a Blue Jay this year. So it was his return to the Coliseum, and he almost hit a home run. Very, very close, actually. I don't know if you saw that highlight or if you got to watch the game. It wrapped around the foul pole a little bit, and it was a foul ball, unfortunately, for our Blue Jays, because we ended up losing by one run. 5-4. Okay. Now, how do I know this exactly? Not from watching the game last night. This is what I wanted to originally bring up to you, was that it was because I fell asleep in my daughter's room. My 7-year-old, she's always like, Dad, come lay down with me for a little bit. And I totally get that. Everybody, when you're a kid and you always want your parents to lay down with you for a little bit before they go to bed. So I go and lay down with her, thinking in my mind, I'm like, you know what? I still have about 20 minutes to go till the game starts. Can't wait to watch those Blue Jays and watch at least an hour of baseball before you try and nod off, kind of thing, or maybe even an hour and a half. And what ends up happening? Fall asleep in my kid's bedroom. I wake up at 2 a.m. I'm like, what? No, you got to be kidding me! 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm looking around. I'm like, oh. That means I totally missed the game. So it's like 2:30 in the morning. I'm watching Jays in 30 minutes. I think it was Jays in 30, or it was definitely the highlights. I saw the main points, and our Blue Jays lost by 1 run. But I sure hope tonight I can stay awake, don't fall asleep, just, keep reminding myself and catch some baseball tonight, because the Blue Jays are back for game 2 of 4 against the A's, 9:40 Eastern tonight start out at the Coliseum. So we'll look forward to that. They have a day game on the Thursday, because that's a getaway day, because then they move on to Houston to play 3 against the Astros beginning on Friday. So go Jays, go. We're looking pretty good so far. Not the greatest news with Ryu being on the IL and George Springer not playing last night. But hopefully he returns soon. And we will hope for the best with that, because we want to see more Springer dingers. All right, it is the Sweet Spot, memorabilia, autographs, and more. Thanks so much for hanging out today on the Spanglish World and Sports World Networks on Zingo TV channel 250. I'm your host, Rob Daniels, and I'm joined here 20 after the hour. I apologize for 5 minutes off, but we're here, we're good, and so thankful to have Hector Castro on the program with me here today on the Sweet Spot, memorabilia, autographs, and more. Hector is the owner of Empire Sports Marketing and Management, located in New Jersey. Hector, thank you so much for doing this today and taking the time to chat.
What's up, man? I apologize for being a little late, but everything going?
Good. I think I just want to make sure I'm in real time. I don't know if I am delayed a little bit. Can you give me a test? 1, 2, 3.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Okay, we got you. Hector on the program again. Thank you for doing this. Where are you situated today? Are you in the New Jersey office?
Yes, sir. I'm in New Jersey.
Nice.
Hackensack. Beautiful day today, so I'm excited.
Nice.
Hustling around in the office right now, just trying to make deals and move things.
Yes, totally understand. Well, thank you for taking the time again. I wanted to give you the platform and the stage right off the bat to tell me and the audience a little bit about what you guys do in the United States in terms of your company and the athletes you represent, etc. Why don't you take the floor?
Yeah, I work with, I run Empire Sports Marketing. It's a management company for mixed martial artists. I have UFC fighters, Bellator fighters, fighters from all over the world as well, Latin America mainly as well. But here in the U.S., just, sponsorships, fight bookings, anything that has to do with them, social media. And then, like I said, one of my side hustles is the card industry, and just working on that, and have a podcast there too. But there's a lot of different things that I've been getting involved in. But one of my main bread and butters is the martial arts.
Martial arts. Okay, very nice. And in respect to that, so do you essentially bring these? You represent them. How does it work exactly? Like at events, you're their main, they're represented by you. Public sign.
I find them opportunities. I find them fights, contracts, negotiations, all that good stuff. Similar to, like I said, it's a sports agent. I'm a sports agent for mixed martial arts. So I find them opportunities, and bring them to the table and build careers.
Nice. And in the card world, you are sort of set up at public events and trying to sell cards. How does that work?
Yeah, well, I've been collecting for a little bit, and I focused on soccer originally, and then I've expanded to obviously my knowledge in martial arts. So I've been buying UFC cards as well as soccer, and then so you can find me at Card Cracks on Instagram. Recently, I just picked up Formula One as well. I've stayed in the smaller markets, and I haven't really dwelled off that, trying to find low print runs and stuff that's going to be worldwide attention. So Formula One is one of the biggest sports across the world. So I've followed that path. I think that's going to be a huge market once the U.S. market kicks in. You're seeing that in soccer right now. The U.S. is starting to get into soccer. That's actually taking the market to another level. And then basically you have the other sport, which is MMA, which is the UFC. Same concept there. You're seeing a lot of growth, and across the seas, there's champions from all over the world that are in the industry. So I mean, it's going to grow over time. You're seeing a huge rush to buy Prism right now, because that's a huge fresh product right now. So and it's beautiful. It's Panini's first product. So prices on those boxes are rising. Those cards are going for an insane amount of money right now. And again, it's just international. It's an international sport. So those are the three main things I focus on. I mean, I know a lot about football, American football, and baseball and basketball, but unfortunately, when I first started, I didn't have that bankroll to buy the LeBron PSA 10 rookie card.
Yeah.
So I basically bought the Messi raw rookie card, and built from there. So I find my spots, I build them up, and just take advantage of good opportunities. But been selling. Just recently started doing a lot of shows, and have a show this weekend that I'm preparing for. And again, the market's healthy, the market's hungry, so just trying to go out there and make some profit.
So why don't you explain to the audience, and even to me a little bit, about how exactly does one in this industry make a living with this? Like when you're representing an MMA fighter, let's say, as a marketing agent, is it you, and I could be right off the cuff, I could be totally wrong, but is it like you take a cut of whatever they're going to make in that fight that night kind of thing?
Yeah.
How does the money come in?
When you sign the athlete, you obviously, they sign a contract with you for representation, marketing, and everything like that. So you agree to become their exclusive representative for all the materials and products that they're looking for. So you go in there looking to build a fighter to get them to that next level. I mean, I happen to have a different game plan than a lot of managers, where I build fighters. I sign them when they're 3-0, 4-0, young guys, nobody really heard of them, and I build them up to get to the UFC. It's happened dozens of times under my watch, where I build a fighter up to that next level. And now it's, and you make whenever they fight, you fight. I mean, you collect a percentage based on every time they fight. And it's just, hopefully the contracts get bigger and bigger and your cut gets better and better as time goes on, as long as you're doing your job. So it just depends on, it's a business. The way I look at it is I start my own business with this particular fighter, and we're 50-50 partners, and, as he grows, I grow. So I got to put him in the right position and the right opportunities.
So, okay. That's, it's educational for me. I didn't know that. So that's, and are you allowed to reveal like who some are the, of these successful fighters that you do represent in the UFC?
Well, I work with a lot of currently I have about 5 in the UFC. I have 1 in Bellator. I've had more, obviously. There's current fighters that are in the UFC that I used to work with that I don't work with anymore, but I did get them there, help to get them there. So it's just like I said, it just depends on what you're looking at. But right now I have Bellator. I have Alejandra Lara. She lives in Mexico. So she just signed a new deal with Bellator, so she'll be there for another 5 fights. And we have in the UFC, I have Dakota Bush, just signed, fought a couple weeks ago. I have Jake Collier. I have the Dawkins brothers, Chris and Kyle. Kyle's fighting, I believe, this weekend in Vegas, fighting in the near future. So they're both brothers in the UFC. And again, it's just, fighters like that. And it's a good opportunity to get these kids. And again, I've signed all these kids when they were in the lower leagues, and, it's only a handful of fights. So,
yeah. Well, you were just mentioning Vegas there, and a fight happening this weekend, which kind of brings me to my like a kind of a segue into my next question for you in terms of how this is all working nowadays. So if they're fighting this weekend in Vegas, and we're now living in this, I don't want to call this the new normal, because I know we can get out of this and we can make it through this. I know we just have to all work together, find a way to get through this. There's some light at the end of the tunnel, but in this now, what we're dealing with now with the pandemic and such, how is that, how are you still able to make a living if they're fighting? No one's buying tickets to the shows, or are they allowed? Maybe I saw people at a hockey game in Vegas over the weekend, but is there like a 50% capacity? What's going on down there so that you can?
Vegas is a little different. Vegas is a little different. I believe they recently opened up 100%, and they opened up a lot earlier than most. But the big deal is that besides Vegas, a lot of the country doesn't have a ton of events. A lot of them are starting to come out now with the restrictions being loosened up. The UFC was one of the only ones that actually started. They never really stopped. They only stopped for about 4 weeks, maybe, so 6 weeks, at the peak when other countries were shutting down.
But there's no fans? Like there's still no fans currently?
No, the UFC just had a major pay-per-view in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
that was the one first that was opened, and they had they had full capacity. And again, when you bought tickets, you had to pretty much sign a waiver.
Yeah,
saying that you want to be here and that they're not forcing you, and then if you get something, they're not responsible.
Yeah,
but the fights that were happening this weekend are closed, and they're just in a studio. where they usually film the Ultimate Fighter. It's in the Apex, which is the UFC offices, and they've been living off that. They've been doing that for a while, and they actually have in the past. They've gone to Qatar, Abu Dhabi, and I'm sorry, Abu Dhabi, not Qatar.
Yeah,
and they've
but are
done.
they?
They've pretty much had an island to themselves, and they had fights there, and it was a interesting setup the way they had it there. The fighters were there for like 10 days. Normally it's like 5 days. There you go. But they had to do certain quarantines. They had to get tested all the time. They were limited to
Yeah.
what they're allowed to do. So it was rough from that standpoint. But now everything's kind of opening up, and hopefully fans will be in the stands, and they'll be able to fly over the country now.
Yeah, yeah. So in terms of your, let's hope that happens real soon, because it's
Well, they're having coming up in Houston as well, so I'm assuming Florida will be booked again. It just depends on the point. It depends on the state and the numbers. Obviously, they're not going to book, and they're not going to sell a lot of tickets if there's, like, for example, like Illinois is still pretty much really restricted right now, so they're not going to push Illinois, Chicago right now, or any of those venues. But Dallas, Texas and Florida are a lot, they're a little eased up in restrictions, so they'll be open. Vegas as well.
Well, yeah, and that's interesting. Yeah, it's more of these southern states that I find that are more open, where you can.
Also, we're going to also do with the heat as well, I think.
Yeah, the heat and the northern states. It's a little the virus is carrying in these northern states and such. So, has the UFC ever discussed the potential of possibly, just for to ramp things up from a business perspective, considered having an outdoor fight? Where I just saw it in Texas. I mean, I don't agree with 40,000 people just getting to it, but like maybe a social distanced something outside.
I don't think they would do that just because of the X factor, weather and wind and all that, heat, the sun on the cage. I don't think they would do that. Everything's been indoors, so they control the temperature and they control the the conditions. So I think it's safer for them to do it that way. Although some of the regional shows have done stuff like that, but yeah. I mean, if it rains, you're screwed. So I mean, it's just where it's hard.
Yeah, it is. It's a difficult situation. There's been a lot of improvising over the last 14 months. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. Now, before the pandemic, did you work with any athletes and represent any in Canada at all?
Yeah, I've had TriStar Gym in Montreal. A few of them. So, like I said, it's a good experience. I have one of my fighters who lives there. I have a fighter lives there now that I don't work with anymore, but we originally did get there to the UFC, and then he opted out. But we also have another former fighter as well. So yeah, there's a good relationship in Canada. But one guy can't even get back in Canada to train, so it's kind of crazy. They want to. He has his apartment, his car, all in Canada, and he's not allowed to train there. So it's crazy.
So he has to just stay in the States. He can't. He's not allowed.
At his parents' house or his friend's house right now, actually, and he's just kind of waiting for the opportunity to get back.
Wow. How do you see this business getting back to normal, and what measures, let's say, in terms of like this is going towards your card, your side hustle? You're talking about the cards. You're working in cards and at shows and stuff. So in terms of that, how do you see that getting back to normal, and what measures are public health, perhaps you taking currently, if any at all, to still get athletes out in the public at signings and public events currently?
We got to be careful with those based on the restrictions of the state and the CDC. So that's basically how we're going to handle the athlete portion of it. But as far as the buying and selling, that's going to be real easy. You have this industry flourished online.
Yeah.
Through eBay and Instagram and some websites that are already set up, and it flourished during COVID because there was a lot of extra money and a lot of extra time. Now that things are opening up, there's a lot more shows, and that's really where a lot of the money is being spent, because people are going to more shows because they want to get out of the house. So market has grown substantially. The industry has grown. I mean, me being one of them, I came in during right after COVID as well. So the market has grown a tremendous amount because of it. And now we're in a position where we're trying to just to, capitalize off of the investments we've made over time. So there's a lot of new buyers coming into the market, a lot of old buyers that used to have baseball cards that are coming, finding them and selling them and trying to capitalize on their old collections and stuff. So yesterday was worth nothing, and then they come out today and realize they're holding a $5,000 card. They didn't know. So it's just it's an amazing time to be in the hobby. There's a ton of money flowing, and it's a legit alternate investing platform now. It's not just cardboard. Although I would say I'm cardboard rich, but the reality is that these they do have substantial value, and it's just like the stock market. One day you track sales, and price goes up, price goes down, and there's no reason behind it. Today the Champions League game, and Mbappe's cards might go up, Foden's cards might go up, they might go down. So we don't know. We have to just watch and see how the market reacts.
Yeah. At these card shows, have you worked at one during the pandemic? Like you've been at a public one?
Jersey's been very aggressive. We've had several card shows already. You could probably go to a card show once a weekend, once every weekend. I mean, there's at least one around here. Wow. And we've been very, very aggressive going to card shows and picking up material, get some good deals there. But besides that, that's about, not money across the country. Not every state's the same way.
Yeah. So
got to follow the guidelines. And like I said, but again, you get top dollar for a lot of, you can get top dollar for selling product at card shows. You could also get good deals at card shows as far as buying at a good price point. So it all depends on what you're looking at and what you're looking for. But the reality is that the market is great right now. Everybody's hustling, and that's what really we're hoping to capitalize on.
Yeah. I mean, and this is what, I mean, because I think of it as, this upcoming weekend or it may have been last weekend, would have been the weekend here in the GTA where we have the sport card show. I think it's called the Sport Card Expo. It happens at the International Center, close to the airport in Toronto, and it's like a show that happens twice a year. And so when it happens twice a year, like it hasn't happened because of due to the pandemic, and then they're still going to have the restrictions, and they're a little, it's more closed off here. We're in a lockdown currently. So what's happening? Like, I'm just interested to hear like what is happening at these shows in terms of the measures that are being taken. Is just everybody, can anyone get in there just with a mask, or do you have to be vaccinated to go in?
It really depends on the show. The CDC guidelines, and they're following them, but some shows are better maintained than others, so it just depends on like, for example, some shows you're required to have a mask on 24/7. They do not count how many heads go in. They have hand sanitizer, they have all the products for cleaning in the front if you need them, and then on top of that, you're in a position where sorry, these little pop-ups keep popping up, so I gotta
no problem.
So I mean, it just depends. I know some shows they count the people that come in. They have a restriction. They make people wait outside until enough people leave where they can allow more. So they controlled it. So every show is a little different. Every show in some, every show follows guidelines, or else they would be shut down.
I
know the Canadian angle. I know the Toronto angle. I mean, there's a ton of money out there. There's a ton of collectors just waiting to do stuff and waiting to get there. The problem is that you can't, like I said, you guys are locked down, so there's really nothing to do. So you have to live your business is going through online right now. I know Carvin, my buddy Carvin from Clubhouse. He lives in California right now. His parents live in Toronto. He has a huge collection there that he's trying to get his hands on so he can move it, and he can't even get in there. So it's insane. It's insane the way the world works right now. But again, everything happens for a reason. So, better safe than sorry. Luckily in the U.S., vaccinations have been very easily to get. So almost a good portion of people here, at least in Jersey, are vaccinated already. So it doesn't solve the problem, but it obviously reduces risk. So it's a big aspect to consider when you're going around. And a lot of these guys, when I've spoken to them traveling from show to show, there's big shows in Dallas. There was just one in Miami. There's one in Wisconsin. This weekend it's here in Jersey.
But
So,
are there athletes there? Like, are the athletes showing
are
up?
there athletes there? No, not that I'm aware of.
No,
Not like signing autographs and that type of stuff. Not yet, at least.
not
Though there
yet.
are shows that they're talking about booking them. I know the TriStar show in Houston, that'll be coming up in late May, early June, I think it is. They'll have some athletes there, some former ex-players, but the current ones that are just straight cards.
Yeah.
There's one that has like some former retired athletes that go there, but like Major Harris and those types of guys. But um, it's not that many.
This is the Sweet Spot, memorabilia, autographs, and more. We are on the Spanglish World and Sports World Networks on Zingo TV, Channel 250. Your host, Rob Daniels, here with my guest. This is Hector Castro. He is the owner of Empire, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. You're the of the marketing company in New Jersey that represents athletes at several events. He's also into cards selling and buying. So tell me a little bit about the online trading market. How is that doing?
Well, again, it just depends on the platform you use. The trading is hard to do online. I mean, you have to do basically on Instagram or if you have a personal relationship with somebody. But people are finding ways. I mean, Zoom has come in, and obviously that. I don't know if Zoom stock is up there, but I mean, I'm sure their stock has risen, business has risen because everything is off of Zoom nowadays. But the reality is that it's people are finding ways to make deals, and communicating with people, whether it's via eBay, whether it's via Instagram. I know Clubhouse is a great opportunity, a great way to meet people and to
What
really.
is that all about? Clubhouse, exactly. Clubhouse Memorabilia
Well,
Club.
you have to ask your boy. That's how I met him. He's the big thing in Clubhouse is you have access. It's basically like Zoom meets AOL chat rooms,
Okay.
without video. So basically, you have open conversation with pretty much anybody you want to. They have classes there, they have seminars there, that type of stuff where you can come in and listen to lectures, listen to interviews. But there's and for the card collecting fans for the hobby, we have rooms in there that are just basically talking about cards, and you could ask questions about grading, ask questions about different products that are coming out, interests, and again, it's a great resource to bounce ideas with other collectors.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you're in there often, you develop relationships and a trust within a certain people. You find out what people are good at, and if you're looking at a card and you don't know what you're buying, or if you don't know if it's a good sell or not, you just ask them, and they'll hook you up with a good. They'll either give you their opinion and say, yeah, it's a good buy, it's a shitty buy, or they'll just they'll refer you to somebody who can. So it's a great opportunity, and it's a great way to get past that learning curve. Again, they're not going to tell you what to buy.
Yeah.
We've been down that road before and it hasn't worked out for us. So we don't really. The kind of rule of thumb is you don't tell people what to buy just because in case it goes down, then you're the bad guy, or people are going to think you're pumping and dumping.
Sure.
But the good part about it is that it's a great resource, and you meet people all over the world, and nationally as well. So I mean, it's a great I know I have friends in Bulgaria now.
Wow.
I have friends in the UK right now. I mean, and I'm in there so much with these guys. If I ever flew there, I know I can crash with them. You know what I mean?
Crash at their place. Yeah.
Exactly. And again, they're in the same position as us. I mean, and as you guys in Toronto. I mean, they're locked down. They can't do anything. So this is their outlet. This is their way to get out there. And the world's still moving. Products are still being sold. Products are still being sold on eBay and through the manufacturers. So they're still, again, they're living the cardboard rich life, and they're investing and holding and selling. And again, it's a repetitive cycle, but if you're good at it, there's a lot of ways to make some good money on the side.
How does the social media world play into your everyday professional life?
I was never a big proponent of social media. I never really thought my life was that interesting to be on social media, besides with the exception of like a few friends and family. But with the industries that I've worked in, I have to be on social media, and my presence needs to be there, and I need to be active on it. And I am consistently on there with the cards as well as with my fighters and stuff. And it's an industry that it's a product that we have to be involved in, whether you like it or not. You have to be there. You have to have a presence because it's only getting bigger and bigger. Facebook's not going anywhere. Instagram's not going anywhere. These companies are going to be here for a long time, and they're going to get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So something that you have to get used to now and get more involved with now, because if you don't, you're going to be way behind by the time you're forced to.
Yeah.
And happening. I mean, I have grandparents, and there's older people getting involved in social media now, and it's kind of cool to see. And but my 9-year-old kid could run circles around me. It's amazing. So the only negative is that these kids are being raised on a social media life now, and they care more about likes on their pictures than certain things in real life. What matters?
Yeah, really
dangerous part. But at the end of the day, it's still a necessary evil, and we got to work with it and develop and
try to embrace it.
Yep.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us those Instagram accounts, Facebook? Where can everybody follow Hector Castro and your marketing company out of New Jersey for our online folks in Toronto?
Empire Sports Marketing. So it's Empire SM on Instagram, Twitter as well. My personal is Hector Castro ESM. That's for business purposes. And my hidden personality, which is Card Cracks, for the collecting hobby aspect of it, on Instagram. I have a podcast as well. Oh, that's on Spotify, Apple, and anywhere you Anchor, wherever you use pickup, get a podcast, listen to podcasts. Card Cracks. We mainly stay in the UFC and soccer realm. I might have to get into F1 lately and in the near future, but we talk about, like I said, just different parts of the hobby as well, products to sell, and we try to educate, just products that nobody really paying attention to that are good investments. We talk about it. So, and again, that's pretty much where I'm at. And that's pretty much it, man. Thanks.
Well, there you go, Hector Castro, and you can always hit him up on social media if perhaps anyone that's watching now that is a UFC fighter or works F1, or that works in those industries, and they need someone to represent them. They can always look out to you, and definitely, I guess, keep in touch. Like, do you have a direct email that we can forward someone to?
Doing that out here, I'll get a ton of spam, but I appreciate it though. But just hit me up on the IG. I'm always there.
Okay, so we look forward to that. So that's Hector Castro. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. He's the owner of Empire Sports Marketing and Management in the New Jersey area. Really, again, thank you so much for your time. And our producer says, if you don't mind, to stay on for a couple of minutes after the show, we'd really appreciate it. So thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it, Hector. All the best throughout the pandemic and beyond. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rob. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks so much. That's Mr. Castro. The Sweet Spot Memorabilia, autographs, and more, 1:45 here on the Spanglish World and Sports World Networks on Zingo TV channel 250. Thanks so much for having us on today. And it's interesting what Hector had to say today, and really down to earth fella. So again, you can follow him on social media. And if you're a UFC fighter yourself, or maybe you are an up and coming fighter or a boxer, someone that's that needs representation, then Hector can definitely help you out with that. Okay, so follow him on his IG, and if you have any questions, he'd be happy to help there. So I wanted to touch a little bit on the show here in terms of what you might want to see in the future here on the Sweet Spot Memorabilia, autographs, and more. You can always email me, robdanielsonair@gmail.com, and perhaps there's a guest that you want on this program that wants to talk autographs, that wants to talk card collecting. Perhaps you just want to talk baseball, the Blue Jays. You want to talk about hockey. A quick note on hockey before Habs and Leafs, they haven't met up in the playoffs since I believe the year was 1979. And imagine that. Could you imagine how slammed the Bell Center and the Scotiabank Arena would be if fans were allowed in to see a playoff bout between, I want to say, your Toronto Maple Leafs and my Montreal Canadiens, because I'm a Habs fan. But could you imagine? How awesome that would be? They haven't met up since 1979. I don't think we wouldn't be able to hear ourselves think in that venue, either one, if the Habs play the Leafs in the playoffs, and it could happen in the first round, and they meet up 2 more times this week, Thursday night and Saturday night, to play. The Habs took the game last night. Great OT winner, and the Habs took that one. So we'll see what happens in the next week or so, and see how this all plays out, so to speak, in terms of the NHL playoffs. I'll be entirely honest with you. It's been a little difficult for me to follow hockey since the pandemic fully. Like, I'll watch a lot of highlights. But with no fans, I can't get into it as much as a regular hockey game. And that's just, I don't think it's only me. I mean, I've spoken to my uncle who follows the Habs for quite some time in Montreal, and he says the same thing. It's a little difficult without the fans in there, and with the, I find with the changing rules and which divisions and who can play who and when hockey is on, it's been a little difficult, challenging, and I hope that gets back to normal, like everything else. We shall see. Time will tell, and hopefully, I saw a few fans out I believe at the Dallas Stars game. Excuse me. So hopefully that starts to happen here soon too with the vaccines, and however they feel like it could be safe to open up here. I hope that's the case soon. 12:49 on the program. Again, the sweet spot, memorabilia, autographs, and more with your host Rob Daniels here, and we are on we're on the Spanglish World and Sports World Networks on Zingo TV, channel 250. So back to what I was initially saying, that if you want anything you want to hear on this program or see in terms of sports athletes, or you believe there's an athlete that would benefit well from being on this program, or perhaps they want to get the message out in terms of their collecting habits, how they've collected, what it is they collect. Maybe there's something that's an incredible Michael Jordan poster that's under the bed. They haven't shown it off, but it's collected dust over the years, or something that is special to them, that's LeBron James or a Derek Jeter, something that they want to show off on this program. More than welcome to. Again, robdanielsonair@gmail.com is my email. So I want to thank again our special guest out of New Jersey today, Empire Sports and Marketing, Hector Castro. He's the owner there, and you should definitely go to his Instagram account if you want to be represented in terms of being a UFC fighter, an entertainer. Seems like a great guy, and you should totally go see more info. So that just about does it for today's program. I want to hear from you, though, in terms of who you want to see on this show next or in the future. Let me know. Okay, I would really, really appreciate it, because this show is all about you and what you want to show off on this program. I shouldn't say show off, but more so like, what you want to share with the audience, because I want to see that. I want to see that collection. I want to see more collectors out there. And now we've got the answer. I was looking a couple of times to find out the answer in terms of what's going on in the United States for shows and how they're doing it safely. So every state is different. It comes down to what the CDC guidelines, and they're holding shows. No athletes. That's the answer we got. No athletes that we know of right now have been signing at public signings, but it could happen even as early June, maybe the end of this month. But as of we know right now, it's mostly card shows and following social distance guidelines and CDC guidelines. So we got that answer. We've been wondering the last couple of weeks, at least I have anyway, and got that answer out there for you. So thanks for joining me. We'll do this all over again next Tuesday, noon to 1. The sweet spot, memorabilia, autographs, and more. My name is Rob Daniels. Thanks for joining me. Please stay well, stay safe. We'll see you next time.